Plenty of engine builders around the country have experience shipping engines internationally. However, Darryl Hameetman has to do it on a higher level. Hameetman, owner of Hameetman Racing Engines, or HRE, in Cape Coral, Florida, has a customer located in South Africa with two 50-foot Nortech Cat boats that Hameetman has serviced for years. Typically, most engine builders simply ship the engine itself back and forth when rebuilds need to be done. However, these two 50-foot boats each house 4 engines and need to be shipped in their entirety so HRE can do the install, paintwork, upholstery, and other items. This time around, due to saltwater damage and years of use, all 8 engines needed to be replaced. We'll give you all the water-soaked details in this episode of Engine of the Week.
Engine Builder's Engine of the Week is sponsored by Pengrade. Precision, performance, Pengrade. Always the original green oil. L-Ring DOS Original. Leading technology, leading service. And Scat Crankshafts. Everything for your LS engine.
Hey everyone, I'm Josh Trokey for Engine Builder, and today we're talking about Hameetman Racing Engines' rebuild of not 1, not 2, not 3, but 8 588 cubic inch big block Chevy engines. These are for our customers' two 50-foot offshore boats that house 4 engines each. Here's Darryl himself to tell you more.
Yeah, he's a repeat customer from years ago, 5 or 6, when we built them originally, and just years in saltwater. This time around, it was time for all new stuff. Yeah, these were all new stuff to replace the 8 that he had.
With 8 new identical big block Chevy Marine engines needing to be built, HRE uses a 2-at-a-time technique.
Yeah, we've got a system kind of gotten it down where we can build them as a pair. 4 at a time is just overwhelming. We try and build them 2 at a time, and it seems to work the best.
HRE started the project with Dart Big M blocks, which the shop ran a 4580 bore in. HRE also went to a bigger diameter lifter in these motors, which they did in-house as well. From there, HRE used Dart's CNC 355 heads, new cranks and rods, JE pistons, bullet cams, T&D rockers, a Crower valve train, and blower shop intercooled 1471 blowers. The engine also used Moroso billet oil pumps with custom 10-inch deep pans. Other machine work that HRE did was the pin oiling in all the engines. The rest of it was really pretty basic according to Hameetman.
There's always parts snags, but getting that many engines worth of parts was a challenge, but assembly-wise they're pretty smooth sailing. Just the worst part is getting the motor mounts and the dress stuff correct so that they fit back in the boat, because it's very tight packaging.
As a 4-engine boat, each engine has its own unique mounts because of the positioning. Whether it's the port forward or the port rear engine, the mounts are different.
Alternators are mounted down low, and power steering pumps, and some are mounted high and low, and left and right they're switched just to make it fit the boat. Because of the front engine has a drive shaft it's actually 3, a long and a short shaft, and then a carrier bearing that's got to wrap around the rear engine. So you got to do the positioning and brackets so that nothing crashes into each other on them.
Before all 8 engines are carefully installed, HRE runs each one on their Superflow dyno to make sure that they're running in top condition.
Run them all for about 45 minutes, just varying RPM and load to break them in. When we do power pulls, we do them, we start at 300 a second, but at the end we run them at 100 or 50 RPM per second to try and simulate the boat.
All said and done, HRE has about 400 hours into building these engines. As 588 cubic inch supercharged big block Chevy-based marine engines, these power plants pump out 1,025 horsepower and 1,000 foot-pounds of torque each, with a compression ratio of about 9-to-1.
The tune-up is very mild on them. The motors will make nearly 1,200 if we put a little boost to them and put good fuel in them. With the 89 octane, we just got to run them down.
The boats are 50 feet long with 11.5-foot beams, but with 4,100 horsepower behind each one, the boats will cruise at about 135 to 140 miles an hour, with a top speed around 170 miles an hour, according to Hameetman.
And that's propped light so that it's got pretty serious acceleration.
While these boats can fly out on the open water, Hameetman's customer doesn't do any offshore racing. Instead, he just enjoys being an extreme boat owner and uses them for offshore pleasure. Well, that does it for this episode of Engine of the Week. Thanks to our sponsors Pengrade, Scat Crankshafts, and L-Ring. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. And if you've got an engine that you'd like to see featured, please email our editor, Greg Jones at gjones@babcocks.com. We'll see you next week.